Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and today I'm going to show you the free RV parking facilities in the town of Stinnett, Texas, which is about 55 miles northeast of Amarillo. It's a small town with about 1,800 population, 3,200 foot elevation, and I'm getting a fairly slow Verizon internet here. Maybe better with AT&T, I don't know. But let me show you what they have to offer here. You're allowed to stay here 3 days for free and $10 each additional day, but that leaves an open question as to how long you're allowed to stay here at $10 a day. Is it 3 more days, or is it 3 more months? Don't know. But then I am the only one here. There are 4 parking spaces, but the one on the right has the water hookup padlocked, and since it has this type of dump station, I'm pretty sure this space on the far right is intended to be used only as a dump station, especially since there is no power box for that slot. So there is 1, 2, 3 power boxes. There's also 3 barbecue grills, but with all of this rust, I don't think I would want to put a steak on that. Now let me show you something really odd about this place. They have the water hookup way at the rear of the space. The electrical hookup boxes are in the middle, and what's most difficult is that the dump stations are way at the front. Now, I have a long enough cord, I can reach the power box and the water hookup pretty easily, but to do a dump, I actually would have to back up and back into the space, and even then it would be a challenge to get to that dump station so far in front, close to this overhang here, which actually is a nice covered, sheltered place where you could sit here and have a picnic or just get out of the sun if it's hot, but you have to bring your own furniture. There are 2 trash cans and a dumpster across the street. Now this building is a city community event center, and the building right here is a city hall and police station. And in front of the police station is the main highway, where there is an Allsup's store and a Cefco store and gas station. And right next door to the Cefco is the Fresh Eats Cafe. I'll show you more what's in there when I go in for lunch. And to the right of the Allsup's is an Exxon station and a Dairy Queen. So I'm seeing 2 lunches within just 3 blocks walking distance of the RV park. Nice. And right behind the RV park is the city park, children's playground equipment, and over here is a basketball court, big covered picnic table, and look at this, another one of these old school type merry-go-rounds. And the big feature here is the Stinnett Aquatic Center, which has a children's wading pool. I can see through the chain link fence here, and then a big swimming pool over there. Really nice and really big swimming pool. which they've got cleaned up and ready to open when the weather gets warm enough. That water looks nice and clean. Here are the pool rules. So if you're here in the summer and staying in their RV park, right behind you is this nice big swimming pool. How convenient is that? They also have a paved hiking path all the way around the park. So overall, I'd say this is a pretty nice place to stay, especially in the summer though. The Fresh Eats Cafe has now changed their name to Chump's Grill. So let's check that out. Well, it's a pretty simple menu here. Okay, folks, how good does this look? Chicken fried steak. That should do me for lunch. Now I want to finish up this video by talking a little bit about stay limits. All of these RV parks and campgrounds that have electric and water and dump hookups that these very nice towns and cities allow for free, they all have a limit as to how long you can stay, and that's for two very good reasons. Number one, the purpose of having these free RV parks is to encourage people to stay in town for 2 or 3 or 4 days, as opposed to just passing through and maybe not even stopping. So that's why they do it, and they want to keep spaces available for these travelers. Now, and the other reason is to not diminish the value of private RV parks that have no stay limits, because obviously if it's free and there's no limit, then there's very little use for private RV parks where you have to pay. And I'm sure the RV parks don't like it at all, even for a 1 or 2 day stay limit. They want you to do business with them. But the city has their own agenda as well. So I very much agree with the stay limits, and it varies from 1 day to, I've seen as long as 10 days. The large majority of them are just 3 days. And I think that is about right. Certainly for me. I probably wouldn't want to stay a week, and I definitely want to stay more than 1 day. If I'm not in a hurry to get somewhere, I want to stay 2, preferably 3 days. 3 days seems to be about right for me, at least. Now, a potential problem is like the one I'm at right now, where you are allowed to stay more days at a fee. I've seen it as low as $5 a day. This one and some others I've seen are $10 a day. And those extra days usually are limited as well. Like 3 extra days or 5 days, or I saw one that was as long as 10 days extra that you can stay, and that's okay, but wouldn't want it to be more than 10 days altogether at the most. Because with no stay limit at all, the local people who live full-time in RVs, but they're not travelers, they're just local residents, $5 or $10 a day is a dirt cheap bargain for a rental fee for an RV park. So they would stay here all year long if they could. Now another issue is that of all of these RV parks I've been to that have the free hookups, I have never yet found one that has anyone that you need to check in with at the site, where they're seeing when you're arriving and when you're leaving. There has been a couple of them so far where you're supposed to check in with the city hall or the police station, but they still don't know when you got here. You fill out a form, and they will have a stay limit like 3 days, but you may have stayed here 3 days before you go to check in, and then put down you're going to stay another 3 days and actually stay there 6 days. So even though they're somewhat monitoring that, they still don't have any way of knowing when you really got there, only what you tell them when you got there. Because I've never yet seen any place that I've stayed where the police actually come around to check and see who's staying there. If they have, I sure haven't noticed it. So you can easily cheat on that and stay much longer than you're supposed to. I have not been doing that. Every single place I've stayed, I have limited my stay to what the sign says the limit is. Which is fine by me, because 3 days is all I want and I'm ready to move on. So I hope you've enjoyed this video about this particular place in Stinnett, Texas, and also maybe learned something from my explanation of the stay limits. Good day, folks.